everybody. We are going to look at a common myth and see, is it true? Is it actually accurate that kids have less impulse control today? That they're out of control? That they can't sit still? That they can't pay attention more today than yesterday, than in the 1960s? We're going to look at that. So today we're going to look at what is the latest research? What are they finding about young kids when it comes to impulse control? And what is something that we can do to increase this very, very critical life skill? This is a skill that if you work to give it to your child or the children in your care, those children will be set on a trajectory to succeed, not only today, but for life. So welcome, I'm glad you're all here. I want to ask you a question. So people are saying kids have less self-control today. They are out of control. They're not listening to their parents. They're not sitting in schools. What is happening? What is going on? What is going on in homes that you think is resulting in this happening for children? If you're in childcare, you can think about what's going on in the homes with parents, or you can think about what's going on in your home. But what I want you to do is really think for a minute, how is life different today than it was for kids back in the 60s and 70s? So I was born in 1970, and for example, I ran outside and played. That's what I did. So I had a lot of downtime. And when I went to preschool, and played. I remember specifically being on the playground for long periods of time. So technology, food, being in a rush, parents working. So for those of you who have done daycare for a long time, what has changed in your daycare? How is the time you spend with children different than it used to be? So I had the privilege of presenting Focus on Self-Control twice in the last 6 days with childcare providers, wonderful, educated preschool teachers, childcare providers. It was awesome. And they came up with these wonderful lists. And they were pointing out that in childcare now, you're expected to have curriculum. Kids have a lot more transitions, a lot more teaching, a lot more education is happening, a lot more expectations, right? That they're going to behave, that they're going to sit and listen to circle times, that they're going to do table activities. This was not as high of an expectation when we were being raised and when we went to preschool and childcare. Am I right? So there's been a lot of changes, more direction at home, more direction in childcare. Kids' lives are much more planned. They're doing much more activities outside of the home. So they might go to childcare all day. They're not going home to eat dinner. They're going to dance class. Dance is a wonderful thing, but if you've been busy working hard all day long, trying to get along with others, trying to do these activities, trying to learn really using your brain, your heart, your soul, you finally get home and now you have to go to dance class or extra activity classes to help you learn, or you're supposed to sit and do your homework. It's stressful. So today, people believe in general that kids have less self-control, but guess what the research is showing? They have more self-control. What? Yes, they do. So remember the famous Marshmallow study? I will be giving you links to the things I talk about, but kids were expected to set a goal. Did they want to eat one marshmallow, or did they want to wait and try and make it so they could have 2 marshmallows when the researcher came back? So they wait and they wait and they try so hard because they want those 2 marshmallows, but only half of the kids can wait. This was the famous study back in the 1960s. Well, guess what? They redid that study. And kids today could wait an average of 2 minutes longer. What? Yes, 2 minutes longer. Not only did they find that kids could wait longer, but they started to look at why some kids wait and why other kids don't wait. And guess what they found? If you have a reliable adult, if you have an adult that really locks in and is predictable and says something and means it, they're a lot more likely to wait. 78% waited when the person was dependable. So how often are we following through in what kids need? How often? I was thinking about this little tiny thing, 1 minute. 1 minute. We're going to leave in 1 minute. Did we leave in 1 minute? No. Sometimes I meant right now. Sometimes I meant 20 minutes. Sometimes I meant 10 minutes. So how am I being predictable at that point? So what they did in this study is somebody would come in and say, hey, You can either use these broken crayons right now, or if you wait for 15 minutes, I'm going to go get a great activity set and bring that back for you. And then you can use that to do your art project. So the kids waited and waited and waited. And then the adult came back and said, I'm sorry, we actually ran out of those kits. So we're not going to be able to give you one of those kits today. You'll just have to use the other crayons. In the group they did that with, most of the kids ate the marshmallow. Why? Because they had learned that they couldn't depend on the adult in their life. They also found, as a side note, kids are smarter today. Why? For the reasons we talked about. More education in childcare and at home. Adults are really working to educate and support skills in young children, and kids are getting more skills. The trick is to look at then, why sometimes are they still falling apart? So let me tell you a story, and then I'm going to give you one huge tool, but you already have a feel for this, right? So you want to be predictable. That's going to help increase self-control, and there's tools to help you do that. But there's another piece of this puzzle. So if you want a child to help self-control, you need to decrease their stress. So imagine me, I have a 2-year-old. I am going to do what I know is right. I'm going to give her a choice. Would you like the red cup or the green cup? She chooses the red cup. So we run out of the house. We have some place to be. I'm running late as usual, stressed out, busy. And she says, you may be already knowing this, I want the green cup. What? No, I gave you a choice. You chose the red cup. I want the green cup. I know, honey, you want that green cup. Don't you wish you could hold it and drink out of it? I want the green cup. Finally, I'm like, it's a cup. Who cares what color it is? It's a cup. You just drink out of it. And I'm throwing stuff all over the car. In that moment, I'm thinking, parents would love to see this, wouldn't they? I'm working with 110 parents a week who think I know what I'm talking about. And here I am screaming and throwing stuff around the car. Well, what happened? I was overwhelmed. I was stressed. I was doing too many things. So there I am falling apart. Now imagine you're 3. I was in my 30s and I didn't have self-control in that moment. So what could you do if you're 3, or a 5-year-old that just started kindergarten, or an 8-year-old who just went back to school after a free summer? And here you are, you've been in school all day long, or you've been in childcare all day long, you're stressed, you're tired. How likely are you going to be to have self-control? So there's 2 tips here, right? The first one is be predictable. Let kids know what the rule is. Let them know what you're going to do, and then follow through. But the second really important strategy here today, help kids de-stress. Give them downtime. Yes, downtime. You know, downtime where you can just run and play without somebody telling you what to do. Time to do an art project where nobody's caring what it turns out like. You're just getting to experiment and play. Downtime, where you can just sit in the same room with somebody and relax and work on your project without them intervening, asking questions, talking to you, directing your play. I know this is countercultural right now because we're supposed to talk, though. We're supposed to ask questions. I'm being good when I teach my daughter the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. But what about just art? What about just freedom? What about just a chance to relax and hug and sit and not perform? So those are my 2 strategies today. I hope you found them helpful. And what I want you to do, if you're still here with me, is take time to write in the box, what are things that you're doing to help support self-control? Or do you have any questions? Here is the giveaway. Are you ready? I will not wait any longer. Remember how I talked about 1 minute? You need to wait 1 minute. Well, there's a strategy, and it's this. It's called a time timer. So basically what you do is you use this visual right here. You set 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 2 minutes. You set that timer, and when that timer goes off, you follow through. Whether it's we need to get out of the house in 3 minutes and then you're leaving the house, or it's we're going to clean up for 5 minutes as fast as we can and then we will go play. Then you set the timer. You can even give kids a choice with this timer. You can say, would you like to clean up in 3 minutes or 4 minutes? And then you set the timer and you all clean together. And then when the timer goes off, the timer is letting you know, all of you, it's time now to play. And then you go play. So I want to make sure to get this in one of your hands. I will put the link to how you can actually purchase one of your own if you want, because I know this has transformed not only childcares and classrooms, but it's transformed homes too. Kids love it because they can see the passage of time. So they can actually know what 5 minutes even means. See you next week, everybody. Take care. Over and out.